Raising a child with a rare disability can be challenging for parents and for caregivers. My next guest advocates how to empower children and embrace their disability as a strength. Joining me in the studio is Lindsey Mazza, a lawyer who's become a leadership wellness expert and disability advocate. Lindsey, you were born with Holt-Oram Syndrome, a rare genetic condition affecting your limbs and heart. Why don't you just tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so as you described, I mean, everybody with Holt-Oram Syndrome, it affects them differently, both upper limbs and heart. The severity of it depends. And my dad was also born with the syndrome, but it affected him differently.
And so what was it like for you growing up and going to school and socializing?
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I actually didn't talk about my disability until probably about a year ago, which is crazy because it's visible. But I had built this wall of protection around myself because what I learned from a very young age is I either had to figure out how to fit in or I was going to be left behind. So school was very difficult for me. I did not have a lot of great experiences with teachers. That was how I coped, was I'm just gonna pretend that it's not a thing so that I can be included.
And how difficult is that for any child?
You know, even talking about it now is difficult because I'm reliving a lot of really traumatic experiences. But I mean, the first time I really understood that things were going to require me to be a self-advocate was, you know, when I was 6 years old and my parents had made arrangements with the school like they did every year. When I went to the washroom, I had a buddy that would come with me just in case I needed help. And one day I asked my grade 1 teacher to go to the washroom and she said no to me, that I couldn't bring my friend with me. And in that moment, that's the first time I consciously remember thinking, okay, I'm gonna have to figure stuff out, and the people that are supposed to be on my side aren't. And it was a very isolating experience. And I think that's when I started to learn what's the point in talking about it, because I'm not getting the support that I need.
Well, thank you for being brave enough to sit and talk about it here. You have, fast forward now, built a multi-city law firm from the ground up. Mm-hmm. Tell me about your history as a lawyer.
Yeah, so I decided to go to law school because I thought advocacy would be such a natural progression for me because I've always had to be a self-advocate. So I thought, what better career than to apply those skills? I also decided to go to law because it was a career path that I could choose how I wanted to pursue it. And I didn't need to rely on people to hire me because people wouldn't hire me. So, you know, the law school journey wasn't easy. I was denied accommodations to even write my entrance exams. And I got hired out of law school at a big firm. And then at the age of 28, I thought, I can't work in an environment like this, so I want to start my own. And I did that with business partners. And yeah, by 29, I was a partner of my own law firm. And we built it from this tiny little one room to multi-city over the last 9 years.
And now you're using your voice to challenge misconceptions and about rare diseases, and really push for inclusivity. So what is your message really beyond resilience?
My message is that the DEI conversation, in my experience, includes everyone but people with disabilities. We continue to be excluded, and it's mind-boggling to me because a disability is a category that every single person can fall into at some point in their life. We have an aging population, accessibility needs are increasing, so it's shocking to me that we're not paying attention to it. So my message is that don't call yourself inclusive unless you're paying attention to all groups of people, and we really need to expand the conversation.
So what would true support look like for you?
So, you know, for example, I've gone to conferences where they pride themselves on being inclusive and nothing's accessible. And I approached the leaders of the conference and I met with resistance. They're offended that I've raised the fact that it's not accessible. So what that looks like is include people with disabilities at the table, because you can't have a bunch of white people sitting around a table talking about racial issues, just like you can't have a bunch of people without disabilities sitting around a table talking about the impact.
And so for those companies where there are so many that do say that they are inclusive, what maybe they don't know, what are next steps? Where do they reach out?
Yeah, they don't know. I mean, a lot of it comes down to budgeting. I mean, I've reached out to a lot of companies and they kind of say, yeah, but you know, we've ticked the box. We have a woman, we have somebody that's not white. We're focusing on neurodiversity or gender issues. So there seems to be a lack of interest because it's not impacting their companies enough. But what I would like to say to people is the reason that's happening is because there's so many barriers to even get in. I think it's only 3% of lawyers even identify with having a disability. And when I tell you my journey, like I had barriers to even apply to law school. So that's the problem, is if we're not making it accessible to even walk through the door, how are we going to expand?
Wow. A lot of good information here. Switching gears a tiny bit,
Yeah.
you are competing in Speaker Slam's No Risk, No Reward competition on March 25th. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I'm excited. You know, I'm obviously nervous. I'm still working on my speech, but yeah, it's kind of one of those things that fell into my sphere, and I'm excited for the opportunity.
Awesome. Well, I hope we can have you back to chat all about it after.
I would love to.
Well, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.